Your Honor, this is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Aldridge versus Wynn. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Aldrich, the defendant is your former boyfriend. You claim you loaned him some money. You want it back.
Yes, ma'am.
He says he owes you nothing. When did you make the first loan? What was it for? I mean, if I look a little frustrated, it's just that it seems to me that I see an awful lot of young women standing on that side of the table and young men standing on this side of the table, which suggests to me that women, for some reason, enable men to take advantage of them. Then when the relationship's all over, they want their money back.
Well, when he said he would pay me back. Well, at our
see a lot more women on this side of the table than I see men. Means that they're a lot smarter. And I didn't think so. Go ahead. When was the first loan?
I want to say it was on my first trip to see him in Kentucky.
What do you mean your first trip to see him in Kentucky?
He moved to Kentucky during our relationship.
Didn't that give you a clue?
Well, he said he was mad at Florida and that was his home and he wanted to go back home. So
he was mad at Florida, but he loved you. So he moved back to Kentucky.
Yes. So he moved up there.
Ding-a-ling.
That's what my family's been telling me, but I just didn't listen.
Oh, boy.
So you went back to Kentucky to visit him?
Yes, ma'am, I did. He said he paid my first full plane ticket up there.
Yeah.
And so I went up there. He was going to pay me back when I got to Kentucky, the money for the plane ticket.
How much was the ticket?
The first one was $138.
And you paid for it?
Yes, ma'am. It's in my... I have
$138. Did he ever pay you back?
No, ma'am.
No. But you went again?
Well, yes. I thought he would have a job. And
no, but you went again.
But this time we would go in half because I figured, you know, it's a 50-50 thing, our relationship, so we would go in half. I'm like, well, because he wanted me to come and see him really bad, so he'd pay the first one, and I wanted to see him the second time. So I would say, okay, we'll just pay half.
When was the first time you went to see him? What date?
10/31/01.
And when was the second time?
12/05/01.
Okay. So he paid you nothing of $138 for 2 months, so you went again?
Yes, ma'am.
That's smart. Well, what was his reason for not paying you back in that 2 months, $138?
He can't keep a job longer than 3 weeks.
Then I wouldn't have gone a second time.
Well, he supposedly had a job again.
Then I wouldn't have gone a second time till I got some money, honey. What else?
So I went up there a second time, and he's going to pay half of that ticket.
All right, go ahead.
And so I get
I'm not impressed.
The first day we go up there, we go to turn in his work uniform back in, and I ask him why. He said he lost a job. I was like, why? He had no cut and dry excuse, so he used my money for the remainder of the week.
So?
So he said he would pay me back half when...
I'm not interested. What else?
Finally comes back to Florida.
He came back to Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
And I was mad at Kentucky, he came back to Florida?
I don't really know.
You don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
So he comes back. We go on a spring break trip. We're supposed to save each $500, put it in together, and that would be our spending money for spring break.
And what month was this?
3/21/02.
3/02. Now, from October 01 until 3/02, has he given you back the $138?
No, ma'am.
Half of the $138 for the second trip?
No, ma'am. The second ticket was more.
Whatever it was, has he given you back any of the money that you used to spending money on the second trip?
Once before we broke up, he paid $106 to me once, and then we
$106 for what?
Just all the accumulations of money he said he would pay me back for.
Now you're going to each save up $500.
Yes,
to
for
go
the
on another
spring
trip.
break trip, yes.
On a big spring break trip. Why don't you save up $500 and give you the money he owes you?
I figured, why won't he pay me back? He's my boyfriend. Because we had done a previous trip before, the previous spring break to Daytona, and we both put in $400, and we both put in our half and everything, and that was great. So I figured these second times, oh, he didn't, you know, he's in Kentucky, he was tight on money. Okay, he's back home now. We'll get him another good job, but I really want to go on spring break because I've never really, you know, I wanted to go to...
That's your problem.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you put in $500 each. What happened?
Yes. He can't save the money, so I save $250. We go down there, we spend my $250, and then he said he would pay me back for the hotels. So,
I'd just like to hear a word from Mr. Wynn. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Listen to me.
We started...
Listen to me. I'm doing fine.
Thank you.
But that's none of your business.
Okay. Our relationship started January 17th of 01, okay? The first date that she has on here is October 21st of 01. This is where she starts keeping track of what I owe her, what she says that I should pay her back. From that time to the 10th, we're using all my money. There wasn't a question of what you need to pay. I took care of it. You know, the plane ticket, I never said I paid for it. It was her decision to come out there. It was her choice. You know, she came out there. She paid for it. The trip to Daytona, I do believe I wrote her a check for an amount of maybe $100 or $200 right off the bat before we even left because I had my mother give it to her. I think I was waiting on a paycheck and the cash was just not accessible at that time. And that's pretty much it.
Now I want to hear more.
What do you want to hear?
Did you ever tell her that you would pay for the hotel?
I did not say I would pay.
No, they didn't even let me finish the question yet, Mr. Wynn. She finds you irresistible. I do not.
Not anymore.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you have a future plan?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
He's not part of your future.
I know. I figured that out.
Figured.
That you would pay her back for half the hotel rooms for the last trip that you took.
No.
After you took that trip, which is in March of 2002, how much after that did the relationship go south?
I think we made it, what, another month, maybe 2 months?
And what happened?
It was my own fault.
How was it your own fault?
Well, too much liquor and my mouth overloaded my butt one night, and I showed my pretty good.
Showed
She
you
got
what? What
scared.
did he say?
Something about showing isn't pretty good.
She got scared. She left. She got a restraining order, and we went to court over that, and that's it. There hasn't been no
I mean,
contact
you lost
since.
your temper
Yeah,
because you had too much to drink.
that was half of it.
Had you had too much to drink before during the course of your relationship with the plaintiff?
No,
Never had a drinking problem?
no.
Is that right?
No, he was never like that before. I don't know what happened the last 2 weeks of our relationship. He pushed me one incident, and that's why I got the restraining order. And while we were at the injunction hearing, I asked the judge, I was like, well, he still owes me money. How can I get that? He said, you're going to have to go to small claims court. So I served him one letter of outlining everything that he owed me, signed it. I wanted the $700. In 2 weeks, he paid me $50. Sent him a letter saying, well, I'll accept $50
Oh, just
more.
1 second. Did you send her $50?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Why did you send her the $50?
The reason for that is we had a big argument over me stealing $40 out of her purse. I didn't steal it, I just took it. You know, my money's your money should be my money. You know what I'm saying? We never had a problem with money. I took $40 out of her wallet while she was staying with me in Kentucky and took off and went drinking one night. Having fun, blah, blah, blah. And the next day, I told her I took $40 out. It was a big uproar. We had a big fight. Not really a big fight. We had a little dispute over it. And for a few months after that, you know, it would come up $40, because she said it hurt her, and I knew it hurt her. So I sent her $50, there's your 40, and here's 10 extra. And that's it.
What a man.
Yeah. How about that?
What a guy. Miss Aldrich, do you know what I'm going to give you on your complaint?
No.
Nothing. And I'm going to tell you why. How old are you?
20.
Do you work?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a cashier and a nanny, and I go to school.
What do you go to school for?
I want to be a nurse, a midwife.
So you have a future planned?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
He's not part of your future.
I know. I figured that out.
Figured wrong.
Not part of your future.
I know.
When you're involved in a relationship, and let us say that the relationship went further and you became engaged and married, which is what you were planning, I'm sure.
We talked about it, but it was fantasy.
We weren't going to be bothered about this $138 for a plane ticket, or $80 for half a plane ticket, or $200 for a hotel room. You're in love. You're planning a future in your own mind. This isn't loan stuff. There's a difference between a loan. I am giving you $200. You will pay me back $20 a week until it is paid off, as opposed to, don't worry, I'll pay you back.
Well, being my boyfriend, I thought I could trust him and that he would.
But you had no reason to trust him, madam. He never paid you back.
He did pay me one payment before we broke up of $106 and said we'd give
You
you
know,
one
I don't
paycheck.
even,
Who
we're never
knows what
making
that's
that
for?
payment.
Who knows what that's for? But what I'm telling you, you are a very fortunate young 20-year-old. You've got a bright future, and you recognize a mistake. And if I never see you here again, madam, you will have learned a very good lesson.
I have learned, thank you.
The very good lesson is, if you're dating a guy and you have to lend him money, say sayonara.
Exactly, exactly.
Right? Lend money if, gee, I left my wallet home, you got 20 bucks until we get home? Different story.
Right.
If somebody is perpetually losing their wallet,
Or their job.
or their job,
Yeah.
or their temper, that's somebody that you want to father your children?
No, ma'am.
No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't.
No, ma'am.
So Consider yourself one of the luckiest young people that I've met in a long time. You got away cheap. You're single.
Yes, I am.
You have no children. You don't have any big debt. You didn't lend him thousands.
No, I didn't.
You gave away a couple of $100 and you learned a good lesson.
Yes, I did.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He is just a womanizer and a user.
I don't know. You know, it's over. It's done with.
I'm very picky about the guys I see now.
I'm just a sucker. I'm just not the victim.
He's just one of those people that you always want to keep your eye on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cox versus Cineas. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Jody Cox is suing her former friend, 19-year-old student Jerry Cineas, for damage to a car that was rented in her name.
Miss Cox, the defendant was a friend of yours, and according to your complaint, you were foolish enough to rent a car for him, your name, using your credit card. Is that right?
Well, the car, it was in his name. I was the second driver. And he just needed me as a second driver so he could use the credit card.
So you used your credit card.
Yes.
But the intention was for him to use the car.
Yes, I wasn't going to be there at all. I was just doing him a favor. This way he could take his trip, and he told me he was going to pay for everything in cash.
Where was he going?
Virginia, I believe.
But you weren't going to be on the trip. The car was for him. Is that right, sir?
Correct.
And then the car got smashed up.
Yes.
And they've sued you.
No, well, they charged me, and
on
my
the credit
mother paid
card,
it off.
on your credit card.
Yes.
How much did they charge your credit card?
$1,400. I have a statement.
I'd like to see it, please.
I also have the estimate for the damage and a picture of the car.
I just want to see what they charged you.
Okay.
$1,400. When did you take this trip, sir?
On the 12th of April, I believe it was.
And there's no question that the car was damaged while you had it on this trip.
Correct.
Let's hear you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jody Cox says former friend Jerry Cineas wrecked a car rented in her name. Jerry says he wasn't driving when the accident occurred.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we took the trip, right? On
Who's
the way
we?
back, me and my other two friends, Kenneth and Roy. We took the trip.
Which one is this?
This is Kenneth. On the way back, I was a little tired, so I let him drive the car, right? But me and Jody had the understanding that he would be the second driver. So on the way back, we got into an accident.
Just a minute. You had that understanding with her.
Correct.
Is that right?
We had to understand that he would be driving to Virginia, and if he got tired, someone else would drive. Yes.
Which was Kenneth.
Yeah.
All right. Now, on the way back, Kenneth got into a little accident and hit the side of the car. And then we took it back to the rental place, and they said that I thought at first the insurance would cover it, but it didn't. So
Why not?
I don't know the reason.
Do you know the reason?
No, they didn't even tell me this. I didn't even know until I got the credit card statement.
Well, me, Kenneth, and Roy, we came to agreement that the person who was behind the wheel would tell Jody.
Who asked her for the use of her credit card?
I asked her.
He was your friend.
Yes, he was a good friend of mine as well.
What about Kenneth?
He was a friend, but I was good friends with Jerry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we came to that agreement that Kenneth would tell Jody about the accident. Well, he didn't. So she found out through the statement. Well, so I felt, me personally, I felt I wasn't responsible for the accident being the fact that I wasn't behind the wheel. Had I was behind the wheel, I would take full responsible for it. But I wasn't behind the wheel, so I don't feel I was responsible.
I don't think you're a bad person. A little shifty, maybe. But let me just outline what you've testified to. And you tell me, because I really don't think that you're a bad person. Misguided, maybe. So let me outline what we have. She was a good friend of yours.
Correct.
You asked her, you, alone, asked her for a favor.
Correct.
The favor was, can I use your credit card? Some friends of mine and I want to take a trip.
Correct.
And I don't have a credit card to use. Can I use your credit card? She says yes. Rent a car and you go on the trip.
Correct.
You get tired. She didn't get tired.
You're right.
You got tired. You have the following choices when you get tired. You can pull off the road and take a nap. You can say, I've driven enough today. You chose to allow your friend to drive the car. She didn't have your friend drive the car. You chose, you, who had the original agreement with her, let your friend drive the car. He gets into an accident. Were you sleeping at the time?
Yes, I was.
So you don't know about the accident?
No.
You don't know what happened?
Not exactly.
You have no idea what happened. Then, instead of you telling your friend who went out on a limb for you, listen, we had an accident, and let's see what the responsibility is here, you decide to let Kenneth tell her.
But we came to agreement
Not with her.
with him.
With him.
Yes.
What does that have to do with her?
Nothing.
Right. Nothing. She's the innocent. Little stupid, but innocent. Now, you don't say to Kenneth a few hours later, did you call Miss Cox and tell her about the accident?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say
Told
to
her.
you?
So I asked him, did he call her? He didn't reply.
He didn't reply, and that was good enough for you.
He said he
Wh-
was
what'd
going
say?
to call her.
He said he was
gonna
going to call her.
Correct.
So then did you say to him the next day, did you call her and let her know about the accident?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
He said, I'm going to call her.
You didn't say to him, let's sit down right now, because this is not right. She did me a favor. The favor was, let me use her credit card.
Correct.
Let's sit down right now and you pick up that phone and call her and tell her that you had an accident. You didn't do that, right? You just figured.
That he would call and tell her.
You believe that Kenneth is responsible?
Because he was behind the wheel and...
You believe that Kenneth was responsible
Yes.
and that he should pay for it. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Good. So this is what we're going to do. I'm giving her a judgment for $1,400 against you. If you think Kenneth is responsible, you take out a summons and sue him. Do you understand?
Yes.
That way, she's dealing with the person who she made a contract with.
Correct.
You then are dealing with a person that you feel is responsible. That's your problem. Don't visit it on her. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all.
Thank you.
Number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Gibbs versus Thompson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Gibbs, the defendant's daughter, I assume this young lady,
Yes.
is a babysitter for you.
Briefly, yes.
And your lawsuit wants her parents to pay for the following, because she's a minor.
Correct.
She ran up a phone bill from your house, so you want them to pay for the phone bill.
Correct.
And you want a return of the money that you paid her for babysitting,
Yes.
because you say she was not a good babysitter.
Not exactly because she wasn't a good one, but more or less she was not attending to them.
Okay, that's your lawsuit. The Thompsons have a counterclaim, and the Thompsons want you to pay more for babysitting, because they say that you owe their daughter for babysitting. And they say that they also want punitive damages because they say that you were a bad influence on their daughter, which they will explain to me. So let's see where we can fix some responsibility here. What is your first name?
Clarissa.
When did Clarissa start to babysit for you?
Early February. I probably have an exact date in my calendar. Yeah, early February, like around the 9th, I believe, is the first time she babysat for me.
And how did you find her?
They lived above me in the apartment complex and had talked about babysitting and asked her to come over a few times prior
Who
to that.
did you talk to?
Clarissa.
Directly.
Yes.
So that all the arrangements that you made were with Clarissa.
Yes, ma'am.
And you arranged a fee.
Yes. After about a week or so, we decided that I would just go ahead and give her $30 a week because I was usually her for an hour here, an hour there during the week.
So far, Clarissa, is that correct that she was going to pay you
No, it
$30 a week?
No, it is not.
Well, what was she supposed to pay you?
Well, she agreed to pay me $20 every time I babysat for her, which led to almost every day.
Really? $20 a day, even if you only babysat for an hour?
It was more than an hour. I would stay overnight sometimes because she would come home so late.
So starting the beginning of February, she started to babysit for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes, I started February 12th, actually.
Okay. Did she babysit for you in March?
Yes, she did.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes.
And you got paid?
Not really. She only paid me like once, and that was $60.
In all the time that you babysat
Yes.
for her?
Only $60.
Really?
Yes.
What about April? Did she babysit for you?
No,
in
ma'am.
April?
I received my first phone bill on March 24th.
And that's when you stopped the babysitting?
Actually, I had stopped babysitting about a week prior to that. I had come home and my 2-year-old had burned a popsicle stick on the stove. He said he was cooking it.
Okay. And how many weeks in total had she babysat for you?
Approximately 4 or 5.
How many weeks?
6.
Let's go through your book and figure out exactly how many weeks she babysat for
Would
you.
you like the book?
Yeah.
I didn't write down always when she babysat. I know I have the first few times written down.
She babysat every week for you after you hired her. She babysat for you for 5 weeks. Now, according to you, you were supposed to pay her $30 a week.
February 22nd was the first time I gave her $30. So I would imagine it would have been the first part of that week that we had made that agreement.
Well, then it's 4 weeks.
Okay, so
4
it's about a
weeks
week.
times 30 is $120. Now, how much had you actually paid her?
I've actually paid $140 because of the time prior to that.
So according to your records, you're all paid up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, tell me about the phone bill.
Clarissa would use the phone when she babysat, and from the very beginning I told her I did not have a problem with her using the phone, not to make long-distance calls. I'm a single mother. I don't have means to pay for long distance. I don't use long distance myself. I received my first bill on March 24th, I believe it was, that I put on there, and the long-distance charges for that month were $308.40.
Who were you calling, Clarissa?
It was an ex-boyfriend of mine at the time.
Did you know that that was the wrong thing to do?
When I first started babysitting for her, she told me that I had all privileges of the phone. She never told me not to make long-distance calls.
Well, did you make those long-distance calls in your own house?
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well,
did you ever get a phone bill for $300 a month?
No, ma'am.
No, of course not. Don't fool around with me, Clarissa. Don't fool around with me. Okay, so that's $308. Was that the total phone bill?
No, then I received one in mid-April for $31 in long distance, $87 in collect calls, and...
Was the boyfriend making collect calls to you?
No, he always called me direct.
So nobody called you collect?
No.
Does this have the number of the...
Yes, it does.
Is it the same number that she
No,
called?
ma'am, it's not. It's a Fresno number. And I asked Clarissa, have you been accepting collect calls from this number? And she says, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. And I have here $85 in collect calls. There's...
Well, she says she doesn't know whose those are, but it really doesn't make any difference.
They're not mine.
Let's say they're Clarissa's. Why should her parents be responsible for that?
Because she's a minor.
No, you're responsible for it. And I'm going to tell you why you're responsible for it. Because you have a mechanism where you can put on your phone a block so that you can't make long-distance calls.
I've never had a need for that.
Of course
I
you've
make long distance occasionally.
Let me explain something to you. Your business arrangement was never with Clarissa's parents. Your business arrangement was with Clarissa. And if you want to ensure that things in your house are not abused, you have to take steps to do that. Her parents can't come into your house and do that. You have to do that. They are not responsible for the long-distance call made by their daughter in your house. You're responsible. You have to be prudent and vigilant, make sure that the phone isn't used, put the phone away, lock up the phone, disconnect the phone, do whatever you want to do with it. But there is no way that you are going to hold the Thompsons responsible for her calls that she made.
I had
not going to happen.
the agreement with her mother at one time, though, Your Honor.
I don't care whether you discussed an agreement with her mother or not. They're not responsible. You're responsible because they have no ability to see to it that in your house the phone isn't abused. They know how to do it in their house because her mother wouldn't tolerate it. Right?
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yeah.
Really? How much do you think she owes you?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over 600.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robbie Gibbs says former babysitter 16-year-old Clarissa Thompson ran up her phone bill with long-distance phone calls. Clarissa says Robbie still owes her money.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, he would call her directly when I was there.
So?
So I never had any clue that she was calling him or making
Neither
collect
did her
calls.
mother. Neither did her mother. You want to take care of your phone? Lock it in your drawer. It's not a mother's fault. And you'll know better next time. You hire a babysitter, you take out the phone. Or you put a block on it. You say you can't make long-distance calls. That's it. It's not legally responsible. And I can't find that her parents are responsible because you have the responsibility of ensuring that when you hire a teenage babysitter and you know that they sit on the phone and they can sit on the phone for hours, you make sure that they can't get to your phone. All right. Now, you want to tell me why you think you're entitled to any money back from the money that you paid her for babysitting?
Because she wasn't babysitting. She would go in my room and shut the door and use the phone. I came home on an occasion when that happened.
When was the first time you came home and found her?
It was about 2 weeks before I had her quit babysitting, and I told her she was not welcome at my home anymore. Her mother came down. We talked about it. Her mother assured me that it would not happen again. The following week is when I came home and my son had been burning a popsicle stick.
So? Then you fired her.
And then I fired her. Yes.
So why do you think you're entitled to anything back?
I just put it in there because I thought that I paid her for services that were not rendered.
You should have been more vigilant. If I came home and found my two babies weren't being cared for by a babysitter, I would say thank you very much. I'm paying you for the day. You're not welcome back here
Which
anymore.
is what I did.
No.
And then her
you
mother
had a
came down and
conversation
spoke
with
with
her
me.
mother, and her mother assured you it wasn't going to happen again. Come on. Get real. All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, if you're serious about it. You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yes.
Really? Why don't you tell me why you think you're entitled to more money?
Well, because I did babysit for the kids, you know, like, because most of the time she was barely even there. She'd send her oldest son to come get me at 6:30 after she got off work, and then she'd be gone all night.
How much do you think she owes you for babysitting?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over $600, but
Really? You think over $600?
Yes.
Really? And you babysat for her each and every week?
Yes.
And you accepted the money she gave you, and you didn't say to her, no, you owe me more than $30 a week. I'm not taking the $30. You came back and you babysat for her again, another week, and then another week, and then another week.
She kept promising me, oh, I have to go to the bank, oh, I haven't got my check yet, or I haven't cashed it. That's what she had kept telling me. So
I'm just going to sit on the phone and talk to my boyfriend. Forget any more money. Chalk it up to the time that you were sitting on the phone in the bedroom, chewing the fat with the boyfriend. You got me?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am. I was suing her for punitive damage because, actually, I don't want to do this.
Smart. Smart. It's her responsibility to take care of her phone. It's your daughter's responsibility to do the right thing if she's babysitting. I'm sure that you've had a chat with her about abusing the privilege of somebody else's phone. I have a feeling you have.
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right, Miss Gibb. Next time, you just be a little more careful, madam. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
I was pretty upset.
I'm very sorry for Mrs. Gibbs, and I hope that she get her life together.
She said that she had permission. Her parents said, no, no, you didn't have permission.
They both played on the telephone.
Not to let teenagers babysit anymore.
not to babysit for people like her again.
Your Honor, this is case number 401 on the calendar in the matter of Dawson versus Wade. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Dawson, you are the head of a church group?
No, I'm not a head. I'm just one of the members of the church group.
And you?
I'm a member also. I'm his wife.
According to your complaint, your church group sold a van at auction at a charity event. Is that right?
Yes, we donated to...
You donated? Shh, put your hand down. Explain that to me. You had a van.
Right.
The van was the church's van, and it had a logo on it.
Yes, we retired it. Mm-hmm.
She bought the van at auction. Put your hand down, madam, and stop moving around. You're making me very seasick. Just be quiet and behave. So far, you're not losing, but don't irritate me. The money that was retrieved from this auction went back to the church?
Yes.
So you sold the van.
Mm-hmm.
She bought the van. Your lawsuit involves a request to have her remove and paint the logo so that nobody can see that it belonged to the church. Is that right?
Yes.
Why?
Reason being is that we have an outreach ministry that we do a work out in Los Angeles County, and our name is vividly seen in the neighborhoods, and that's the reason
And
why...
it was on the van?
Yes.
You have a picture of the van?
Yes, I do.
Let me take a look at the picture of the van with the logo on it. While I'm looking at that, Mr. Dawson, who was in charge of making the arrangements to give the van out for auction?
The pastor of our ministry.
All right, now I see it. It's got your name all over it. Now I see it. How much did you pay for it?
I paid $800.
Good. And when you got it, it had these markings on it?
Yes, it did.
And you don't want the markings on it?
No.
Not in her possession?
No.
So why don't you take them off before you sold it?
Well...
What does that have to do with her? Where are you people coming from? Put your hand down a second. Where are you people coming from? You want to sell this, you turn it over to an auctioneer, they sell it, and now you're suing her. Stop, listen to me, Miss Wade. If you don't give me the attitude, I am totally unimpressed with your attitude, and it's irritating. You don't want to pass this along to somebody? You paint it over before you sell it. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand, but they had made an agreement that they would be taken off before...
Who made the agreement?
The auctioneer, the person who would purchase the van, would take it off.
Who made the arrangement? You made the arrangement with her, or somebody made the arrangement with the auction house?
With the auction house.
Sue them. What are you suing her for?
Can I say something?
What?
The reason we're suing her is because our ministry is very popular throughout Southern California, Anaheim, even in San Diego. We do a very good work with children, gang prevention, youth.
Very nice. What? Keep going.
The reason I'm saying this is because they're going around in our van representing our ministry, cursing, screaming, yelling.
Miss Dawson.
Yes, ma'am.
They are not representing your ministry. She's driving around in a van that she bought, that your ministry failed to ensure did not have its logo on it because it turned it over to an auction house to sell it with the logo on it. And if you didn't want the logo on it, paint it before you sell it.
I understand that, ma'am.
Period. End of discussion. She's not holding herself out to be your ministry. She's driving around in a van she purchased. You want her to spend more than $800?
Yes, she is. She's representing our ministry. She said that she takes the youth around in our ministries. They like it on there. They don't want to take it off. We offered to take it off for them, to take it off professionally, and they said no. He likes it on there. He was belligerent. He cursed. He threatened my pastor's wife. He called the church.
That's it. He liked it.
Yeah, but it's
he liked it. It's
our
folk
ministry.
art.
It's representing our ministry. We get calls from all over the Southern California area, from Torrance to Los Angeles, complaining that how could our ministry do something like that, curse with children around. We don't do that. They're misrepresenting our ministry, and they won't take it off. Who would want to drive around with a Youth Action for Christ Jesus sign when they don't even represent Christ? We represent Christ.
Let me, madam, give you an example that maybe you will understand.
Yes, ma'am.
The Beatles used to tour this country on a bus.
Yes, ma'am.
And they had the word Beatles on the bus. Trademark. Now, let us say at the end of their tour, they decided that they had no further need for this bus, and they were going to sell it. And they put an ad in the paper. Take away the third party, the auction house. They put an ad in the paper. I see this ad and I say, gee, I would really like to have a Beatles bus. I'd like to have a bus that I knew the Beatles drove around in, and that had their name on it, that had their pictures on it. I want that. And I'm prepared to spend the money for it. So I answer the ad. They say the bus is $25,000. I say, sold. That's what I want. I want to take my kids touring, my kids and my grandchildren. I want to be stuck in a bus with my grandchildren, right, touring the country in this Beatles bus. Paul McCartney says, you got to take, after I pay the $25,000, oh, you got to take our name off the bus.
I understand.
I say, oh, no, you want to sell this bus without your name on it, take it off. I bought it with the name on it.
I understand.
It's my bus.
Yes, ma'am.
She bought the whole package.
She sure did.
And if your minister made a mistake by not removing the logo before he turned it over for sale, that's his problem.
Can I clarify something? My husband failed to mention that my minister was responsible for letting us take the van. We were responsible for taking the names off. We failed, and we're trying to take care of it now. My ministry is not responsible for it.
You can't.
I called the police, and they said the only thing I could do is go to small claims court to petition to them to take it off. She met with my husband, and she was very nice about saying okay.
What I'm telling you is, if she wants to, she can.
If
you want to give her money, maybe if you give her money, she'll say, fine, I'll take it off. Maybe $400 would make it feel better for me. Well, maybe, but you cannot require her. Because
we didn't require her. We asked her, and she was very nice. She was very humble, and she said, sure, to come take it off. We called her husband. He said, who do you think you are calling my house? You're not going to take anything. He cursed. He said, if you say another word, I'm going to hang up in your face.
I heard you, Miss Dawson. You're not listening to me.
I'm sorry.
You're not listening to me. If it was your responsibility, you didn't take care of your responsibility. You can't clean it up now. I'm telling you cannot require her to take off the logo from the bus because you don't like the language she uses or somebody uses when they're in the bus driving around. You cannot require her to do that.
It's not just the language.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if she was mooning people when she was driving around with your bus.
I understand
you
that.
cannot require her to do it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He pulled out the razor blade and was starting to proceed to take the lettering off my van. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. You can't take this off my car right now.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Anthony Dawson and his wife Sheindlin are suing Danye Wade for misrepresenting herself as part of their ministry. The Dawsons say Danye purchased a van from their church and refuses to remove the logo.
Now, you may pay her and say to her, listen, let's enter into an agreement and perhaps I will,
I'll
give you money. You want some money to remove this from the bus?
Yes, if they want.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Here we go. How much money do you want?
I want 15 for it. 1,500 for it.
Well, you only paid 800.
Can I explain why?
No, just a minute. You only paid 800. So explain to me. Explain to me why you want 15. You're going to. Let me explain something. You're going to get nothing.
Okay.
Because
okay,
what I'm trying to do is to make an arrangement that will satisfy everybody.
Okay.
It would have to be a voluntary arrangement. Do you understand? Not something that's loony.
Okay.
So, if you want some money so that they will paint it, give it a nice fresh coat of paint, that sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, but may I explain to you the reason why I want 15 for it?
Sure.
Okay, because first of all, when I bought the van was $800. I paid $400 to register the car. Didn't have a problem. When I bought the van, my intentions was to take the lettering off because I didn't want it. I wanted to paint it in one color, and I couldn't afford it. I just didn't have the money to buy it. Okay, one day I was shopping at a store. I came out my store to this man right here, this minister, at my van, doing something to my van. Okay, when I got to you wasn't even there.
Oh, yes, she was.
Just
a second. Put your hand down.
Little girl. Okay.
Listen to me.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Say okay.
Okay, so
I don't want you. Okay. I don't want you to talk to them. You talk to me.
Okay.
You understand? You came out of a store. What was he doing to your van?
At that time, I didn't know what he was doing because when I walked out the store, I could see him at the van, and as I got closer to the van, he was walking away, and then when I got to the van, me and my son, he walked towards me, and I asked him what was he doing. And he was like, he identified himself, I'm the minister of this church, and I thought when they sold you the van, they took the lettering off of it. And I was like, no, they didn't. I bought this like this, but I have intentions on taking it off. And he asked me, he was like, well, can I take it off? I was like, sure. I gave him the number. I said, let's make arrangements. And he pulled out the razor blade and was like, he pulled out the razor blade, and I can describe exactly what kind of razor blade. It was like a box cutter. He pulled out the razor blade and was starting to proceed to take the lettering off my van, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. My baby looking in the car, he looking out the window. I'm like, you can't take this off my car right now. You cannot do this. We have to make arrangements. I just told you to call me. I jumped in my car. I put off. I went home. I told my neighbors and everything. I was like, you won't believe what just happened to me.
Now
okay.
I understand.
I'm sorry.
So, just a second.
I'm like, you won't believe what just... Okay.
Miss Wade, now you told me what happened. Now, you're moving around. You're making me very, very dizzy. Either one of two things are going to happen today. Either I'm just going to send you both packing because they have no case. You have no case on a counterclaim. If you are prepared to have them pay to repaint the van, how much are you prepared to accept so that they will be happy and according to you, you will be happy? And don't tell me $1,500 because $1,500 is going to buy you the door.
Okay, can I say something now? He took letters off the van. It's letters off the van. His name is off the van.
Fine.
Half of his letters. I didn't tell him to do that.
Fine.
I told him let's make arrangements.
Fine. Listen to me very carefully, Miss Wade. Let me ask you this question. Miss Wade, you're not following what I'm saying. I asked you for a figure. So, how much will it cost to paint the van?
Well, I went to Earl Shy and they said $600 to repaint
the
car.
$600 to repaint it. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Dawson, are you prepared to spend $600 to correct your mistake? Is the question. The answer is either yes or no. You're not. You have no case. So she wants $600 so that she can, or you can, take it where they paint cars and have it painted.
We offer to have it removed professionally. We don't want to pay $600 to have it removed.
Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They sit there and act like he didn't pull out the razor blade.
We wouldn't even use a scraper. We were going to use a blow dryer on our property. It doesn't even work like that to remove it professionally.
Right. We had someone who was going to
take
it off.
That was a lie.
They sitting there acting, putting on a show, acting like they didn't do it and act like I'm just so innocent. No, you're not innocent, not at all. You are hypocrites.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hollis versus Kirkland, step forward, please.
Inventory Control Clerk Lori Hollis is suing her former live-in boyfriend, salesman Alex Kirkland, for unpaid rent and bills. Alex says this is revenge for their breakup.
Ms. Hollis, according to your complaint, a couple of years ago, the defendant lived with you. I assume you were in some sort of a relationship when he came to live with you. You say that he owes you money for rent and other bills. Mr. Kirkland says he doesn't owe you a thing, that you never had an agreement with regard to rent, and when he was working, he gave you money. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. When did you move in together, or he moved in with you?
June 10th, 2001.
And how long did you know him before he moved in with you?
From October 1999 for a little over a year and a half.
Why did he move in with you?
He had gotten into a situation where he needed a place to live. And
I don't know what that means.
He had broken up with his girlfriend at the time and he needed a place to live. He was moving out of his place. And so I offered to let him stay with me.
So he wasn't your boyfriend at the time, he was just a friend?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And, you know, and we had an agreement that he was supposed to pay me $450 a month plus, you know, half of the living expenses, utilities. And about 10 days, I think it was like the 25th of June, he had lost his job. And he lost his job under circumstances which prevented him from being able to collect unemployment. I was a friend of his, and I had faith that he would get a job soon and, you know, and be able to adhere to our agreement. But he stayed unemployed all the way through March 2002.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left.
He's consistent.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lori Hollis says ex-boyfriend Alex Kirkland owes for rent and bills. Alex says Lori is a vengeful woman.
Let me tell you what you just told me. You just told me that he broke up with his girlfriend and he had to move out of her apartment, right? Mm-hmm. I assume it was her apartment because she wasn't leaving. He was being forced out. Is that right? That's why he came to live with you.
Well, I don't know the circumstances of their relationship. So,
well, certainly he needed the place to live. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, as soon as he got to your house, he lost his job. And when you say he lost a job under circumstances under which he could not collect unemployment, which means he didn't leave voluntarily. He left because he got caught doing something wrong. Well, if you get caught doing something wrong, then maybe you can't collect unemployment, because if you get fired, and if you've had a work history, then you can collect unemployment. So now you have faith in him that he's going to get a job, but he doesn't get a job. So you can, if he's just your friend, you say to him, toodaloo. Well, but you decided not to. So why are you here a year and a half later looking for rent?
Well, all the time that he was staying with me, well, in September of 2001, he decided, he instigated a conversation with me to take our relationship further, because we had been friends for a real long time. We cared about each other, and I loved him. So
that's why you let him stay.
I let him stay.
That's why you let him stay.
And he continually told me that, you know, don't worry, you'll get a job and he'll pay me what he owes me, and so on. But soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left. And
he's consistent. He's consistent. So what are you complaining about?
Well, the fact that
you cared for him. He evidently was not committed.
I do have a signed rental agreement by him, though.
Let me see it. When did you have him sign a rental agreement?
Well, I tried to use it as so in a child support hearing to prevent his child support from being raised.
Were you involved in the child support dispute, sir?
Yes.
Is that why you signed this agreement?
That is why I signed that agreement.
So, according to this, you owe her for a year's rent.
According to that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And?
I didn't really remember signing that agreement. And once she brings it, now that she brings it up, the reason that I signed it was to take into court to show that I was living at a place and everything was on the up and up, and for them not to raise the child support, which they did anyway. It had really nothing to do with rent. She agreed to help me, knowing the situation that I was in. I did pay her. I signed my complete checks over to her once I started working. And I didn't move out right after I got a job.
When you say you signed your complete checks over to her, how often did he do that? How many times did he sign his complete checks over to you?
He did the first check he got in April. He did because we were kind of in the rears at rent at the time.
So how much was that?
I don't know how much.
How much was that? Do you remember?
I believe it was around $500 from what I had left from the child support.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved out in July 15th.
Mr. Kirkland, what you're suggesting is that you took this piece of paper. You were sworn to tell the truth.
That's correct.
And the judge asked you what your expenses were?
Yes, he did. I told him that I wasn't working, and those are expenses that were against me.
You gave this to the judge when
Yes.
you were under oath and
Yes.
said, these are my expenses.
Yes.
My rent is $450 a month.
That's correct.
I need this for transportation. I need this for clothing. Is that right?
That's correct.
So now you're coming into this court, and you're telling me in this court that this was merely meant to fool the judge in the child support proceeding.
That's not correct.
Of course that's correct. That you furnished this document to the judge in the child support hearing in the hopes that they would not raise your child support, but that this agreement was false. You were not supposed to pay $450 a month rent. So you furnished this to the judge in that hearing in order to fool that judge. Your fair statement?
I guess that would be a fair statement.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bullock versus Haycox. Step forward, please.
Nurse Karen Bullock is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ralph Haycox, for having her falsely arrested and for the return of her belongings. Ralph says during an argument, Karen hit him with a Big Mac.
Miss Bullock, how long were you and the defendant in a relationship?
Ralph and I were in a relationship for 9 years.
According to your complaint, the defendant had you falsely arrested on domestic violence charges, and you were forced to spend some 30 days in jail. You want to be compensated for that. And in addition, you say that when he unceremoniously told you to get your stuff and get out, he kept some of your personal property, and you want it back, or the value of that property. That's what your lawsuit is about, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Haycox, is that your name?
Yes.
Says that you got arrested because you deserve to get arrested. You spent time in jail because you deserve to spend time in jail, and that he has none of your property. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
When was this incident that caused you to be arrested?
It was in March of this year. I served 30 days in jail.
Well, tell me about it. What happened?
Ralph and, like I said, Ralph and I have been together for 9 years. I walked in and caught him in the bed with another woman.
Look at me, please. Don't
The
look
cops
down.
was called, and I was arrested. I was told it was a violation of a restraining order, and I appeared in front of the judge. And
Just a second. When you came home, something must have happened if the police were called.
Actually, nothing. I told him I said, oh, I done caught you in a lie. You told me it was over between him and his woman. Actually, him and I had problems.
Just a second. He called the police. You want to tell me, sir, what happened when she caught you?
I was home alone. There was no one there with me, and she came in with an attitude about
That's
something.
Not true.
And
That's not true.
we started having a debate, and the next thing I know, she had a Big Mac, and she took and slammed it in my face.
A Big Mac
Hamburger.
sandwich?
Yes.
That's not true.
Okay.
And instead of going off and hitting her, I called the police, and she left and went to one of my neighbor's house to try to hide, but they put a warrant out for her, and about a week later they came to the house and picked her up.
Has there been incidents of violence between the two of you before?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Oh, the relationship was just full of violence and nonsense. We'd broken up maybe a half a dozen times before, and it's just time to stay away from each other. That's what I want her to do.
Okay. Now, what I read in the complaint was, Ms. Bullock, it appears to me that there was a restraining order that was in existence at the time Mr. Haycox called the police and had you arrested for this hamburger incident. When was that restraining order issued?
Had to be a few years ago, but I didn't know that it was still in effect. To my knowledge,
But it was still in effect.
Evidently, it was.
So he had a protective order.
Right.
So you served 30 days for violating that protective order.
That's what I found out it was.
Now, did you plead guilty to violating the protective order?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any of the criminal court papers, please?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. This. I think you understand. Thanks.
Oh, I have something else here, too.
Well, this was issued in February, and this protective order says that you are to refrain from doing anything to him and to refrain from entering the family dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
You pled guilty? You pled guilty to violating the restraining order?
That's what they got me on, for violating the restraining
You
order.
pled guilty and served 30 days.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Then you can't sue him for falsely having you arrested.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Now, what personal property do you say you still have in the defendant's house?
I have receipts and stuff, documented stuff that I had.
Like what? Give me an example.
A television. I have antiques in there, lamps, dishes, blow dryer, curling iron, mirror, handmade mirror.
Go ahead, sir. Do you have any of her stuff?
Yes, some of those things are there, but I've called her and tried to make arrangements with her so she could come and pick up her property.
Okay.
And she said, well, I'm going to settle it in court and don't call here anymore.
Fine.
So,
This is what you want to do. I want you to pack up her property. Pack it up neatly. Don't damage anything because you want this lady to leave you alone. Correct? What relative do you have? You live in New Britain, Connecticut?
I have a brother.
Do you get along with her brother?
yeah.
Good. 5 days from today, your brother, in the company of a police officer, will go to the house. He will give your brother your property. Do you understand? He says he has some of your property, and he doesn't look like a nut, so that he doesn't want you to come around anymore. So whatever you have that belongs to her, or you think even marginally belongs to her, be smart. Pack up, get ready for her brother to pick up. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. 5 days. That's all. Thank you very much.
This is case number 320. Guys, this is case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Ladante versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Ladante, it is your complaint that the defendant... What is that vacuum cleaner doing here?
That's my vacuum cleaner that's busted right now because my hair is inside of it.
Could we do something with that vacuum cleaner and take it away, please? Or just put it so I don't look at it. Props I don't need. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ladante, it is your complaint that you had a hair process done by the defendant, and as a result of the faulty process, you're losing your hair. You want him to pay $5,000 for the treatments you're going to receive over the next 5 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The defendant is counterclaiming because he says you stopped payment on the check and never complained to him about the process. That's what the case is about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. How long had you been going to the defendant's salon for service?
Almost a year and a half.
And he had done work for you satisfactorily before?
Yes.
What kind of work?
Extensions put in my hair in a bonding process.
Explain that to Bird.
It's
He
a
doesn't
powder
understand
and
it.
a glue that you put into your hair to make your hair fuller and longer.
You put glue into what part of your scalp or your...
No, it's put into my hair, into each strand.
Okay, and he's been performing that service for you for well over a year.
Right.
And you've had no problem?
No.
Good. So when did you start to have a problem?
When he gave me a $1,200 process and promised me that it would last me 9 months.
Okay. When was that? When did he give you this $1,200 process?
On April 24th.
Tell me about it. Did you go in for a normal glue job?
I was going to get, you know, the regular bonding done. He says, I have a new process for you. It's going to cost you $1,200. And he dyed my hair, and he put the $1,200 process into my hair.
I'm going to get to you in a second. What was the difference, as he explained it to you, between the old process and the new one?
Okay. It's supposed to be a protein-based glue. So instead of making my hair damaged, be more beneficial to me to have healthier hair and go back every 9 months instead of every 3 months.
Okay, so you go in on April 24th, and he gives you this expensive bonding job.
Right.
What happened next?
The 25th, I noticed my hair was all orange. I called him up. He said, come on in and I'll fix it for you.
Okay.
And he fixed it for me.
Tell me what he did.
Excuse me, Chuck?
Take the thing off.
Look what he's done to my hair.
Talk to me. On 4/26, he recolored your hair.
Right.
Has that ever happened before when
Never.
you colored your hair?
Never.
Okay. Then what happened?
He told me not to wash my hair for 48 hours from the 24th. The 26th, I washed my hair. That was 48 hours. And as I get into the shower,
Don't be dramatic.
I'm not being dramatic. It's
There's only
very
one drama gal here. Are those the extensions or is that your hair?
They're both. I have pieces here from the root. Your Honor, I'm just very upset, emotionally upset.
There's no way.
I'll show you, Greg.
It's that far. When I attach it that far,
Okay.
an inch from the scalp.
Well, Bird, I'm not going to ask you to do this.
You ripped out my hair.
Miss LaDante.
Did she wash it with
This is my roots.
dog shampoo, or did you wash it with
That's a
the
conversation.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Okay. Now, in all that clump of hair that you have over there, you picked out one piece, and you showed me that that was a root. Are there any other hair strands there that you can identify as your natural hair?
Yes.
Just take out what you can identify as your natural hair, madam. And then I will see if I can identify it as natural hair. Perhaps Mr. Davis can.
Shall I give it to him?
No, bring it up here. Because Bird doesn't want to go touch that. Bird doesn't like to touch those.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. What I see is the extensions came off, and I see some dark hair.
That's my root.
Okay. All right. So of all that mess over there that you have over there, this you say is your natural hair.
Well, some of it in here is...
Not all of this is your natural hair. This is extension.
Yes.
Take the rest of that clump there, put it back in where it belongs. Very good. The whole thing.
This too?
That's all came out.
It's all came out.
It's all came out. So it's not your hair. This came out, which is the process that he put on. This is not natural hair. This is not your hair. This is somebody else's hair or some...
Human hair.
Somebody made this from a sweater or something. I don't know. Okay. Now, let us assume, Miss LaDante, that it is true that the extensions that he put in came out.
Yes.
And you paid him $1,200. So why are you suing him for $5,000?
Why?
Yes.
Okay. I need hair integration.
Show me.
Okay. I have a bill here for an estimate of doing $1,004.
For what?
For hair integration.
What's hair integration?
It's almost like a wig, but it's not.
You don't need a wig. Is that your natural hair?
No.
Listen to me.
Half of it isn't, half of it is.
Madam, why don't you just cut off the extensions that you have in your hair? Yeah, I'm looking at the top of your hair. Top of your hair looks thick, looks fine. You know, you may need a little bit of a touch job right over there near the roots, but we're not talking about that. It looks as if this is healthy hair. You don't expect him to pay for another process, for another integration process for your head. He's not going to do that.
Integration has no bonding, no glue, no nothing.
So, you want a different process? Go get a different process.
I'm in the marketing business. I have hair falling in front of my customers.
Why don't you cut? It's not your hair. Why don't you just cut off the extensions?
This never happened before until he did this process.
Listen to me. Your hair isn't falling out. Your extensions are falling out. The extensions are from here down. Is that right?
Right.
Cut them off.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lisa LaDante says hair salon owner Greg Davis owes for damaging her hair. Lisa says after receiving hair extensions, her real hair fell out.
Okay, let me hear you.
Chuck called me and said, let's talk about this. I said, okay, what's the problem? He's like, well, Lisa's petrified of you, da-da-da. I'm like, Chuck, come on. She's been coming to me for 1.5 years. I said, why hasn't she called me before now and said, you know, Greg, this is a problem. She knows it's not real hair. He's like, you know, come on, let's negotiate the price. And I said, what do I look like, Monty Hall? I did the service, she signed the check, everything over and done with.
She stopped payment on your check. So you did not get paid for this process.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your counterclaim, sir, for this money is denied, and I'm dismissing your claim. You, however, listen to me very carefully. You didn't pay for the service. If you had paid for the service, I would have awarded you the full amount that you had, in fact, paid him. But you stopped payment on the check. You were dissatisfied with the service, so you are out no money.
My hair is damaged.
It may be damaged, madam. Do you have...
You make your appointment, it doesn't happen.
All right, I'm going to take care of it very easy. Don't show me papers. You have a witness here to testify?
Yes,
He wasn't even there. He was not even there.
Yes,
I want you to be quiet. Who are you?
Why?
I'm her fiance.
Are you a hairdresser?
No, I shouldn't.
Sit down. You have someone who is an expert in cosmetology, who is a licensed hairdresser who will testify that they examined your hair and that your hair, as a result of this process, was damaged irreparably. Do you have such a witness? No. Then your case is dismissed because you have already been compensated by the fact that you stopped payment on his check. You are not out any money. He should not receive any money. But I, quite frankly, don't see why, if you take this hair that is not yours and cut it off, do your roots a little bit. That's just my suggestion, and I am not really an expert in the area. Put a little conditioner in your hair. It may be just fine. If you are going to continue to put glue and stuff in your hair, it's going to continue.
I didn't put glue in my hair. He did.
He didn't drag you in off the street, madam. Now, I don't think that that process can be good for your hair. You dye your hair. You put peroxide in your hair, you put glue in your hair, you put bonding stuff in your hair, and you expect your hair to be healthy. It ain't going to happen. You have my verdict. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just don't want anybody in Daytona Beach to ever let him do extensions and let this happen to them.
You can see by her roots that she don't even go and have her hair done on a regular basis.
I did not do my roots due to the fact that I was told not to touch my hair, so he, the phony, would not blame another hairdresser for what he did.
Now, this is case number 236 on the calendar in the matter of Ronstadt versus Nelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Ronstadt, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Approximately May 1st, 2000.
And when did you separate?
He left on the 19th of July, 2001.
Were you both working at the time?
I was not working. He had lost his job the day prior.
So how did you support the household?
I have a nervous system disease, and I was receiving disability payments.
You were receiving disability?
Which exceeded his income.
No, that's a false statement, Your Honor.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
What kind of work were you doing, sir?
I'm a computer technician.
And how much did you earn last year?
$63,000.
Okay. Now, did you move into a new apartment together, or did you move in with him, or did he move in with you?
We moved into a new apartment together. I was making $110,000 at the time I lost my job, and I was receiving disability payments in excess of $2,600 a month.
Your Honor, she was borrowing money from her mother to support this.
This lawsuit has to do with the fact that you claim that you purchased for your joint use a motorcycle.
That's correct.
That's a false statement, Your
Mr. Nelson, I don't want to hear from you until I look in your direction or ask you a question.
Okay.
That he won't return to you.
That's correct.
Mr. Nelson says that you purchased this motorcycle for him as a gift. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
Okay. Now, I would like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding the purchase of this motorcycle. When was it purchased?
It was purchased on April 20th, the year 2001. I purchased it because when I lost my job, we had a fair amount of money to live on, but by April, it became apparent that it just wasn't going to make it. I talked to Mr. Nelson, took a full 401k distribution. I got approximately $17,000 left. I have all the proof here. The bike cost $9,400. I did so because he was driving a 4Runner. The 4Runner was costing about $500 a month in just gas alone. And we needed to cut down on our daily expenses. We could not fork out that amount of money on a daily basis for gas. Plus, he had to pay a toll fee to go across the bridge to get to work. Using a motorcycle, you avoid the toll fee.
So
we bought the bike.
Now I'll hear from you.
Your Honor, on my birthday, 4/10, she told me that for my birthday as a gift that she would be buying a motorcycle for me. And it's a wonderful gift. Plus, it will save on the gas and all these other things. This was not for our use, it was for my use, and it was a gift as a birthday present. 4/10, we had discussed going to look at motorcycles on the weekend. We did so on Sunday, April 15th, and put a deposit of $100 on the motorcycle in question. We were waiting on the rest of the 401k loan to come in, and it did come in. Sorry?
Not a 401k loan, a 401k payout. She got cash.
Okay, yeah. Well, she took that money and told me that she was going to pay the debts that were incurred because of her out-of-control spending with eBay and whatnot, the debts that she was creating, as well as buying a motorcycle for me as a gift. We went back on 4/21 and paid the remainder of the balance. She was talking to the salesman, and I have a written statement from the salesman.
Don't tell me what the salesman said.
This is very important
And the
because
salesman should have been here.
he couldn't come here because he's a salesman. He couldn't make it. He
Not a
doesn't know me.
reason.
Why would he take the time to come to the
Not a
court?
reason. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Nelson.
she also told Jamie Curley and my mother. We rode the motorcycle to my mother's house, and she boasted of this beautiful gift that this generous gift that she bought for her son, as a birthday gift.
Why did you leave in July?
We were having some difficulties. We were having a lot of difficulties, and she was adding a lot of stress to my life, and plus my children. She was not really caring for my children or very sympathetic towards the situation between my children and I. She didn't want them around. She was trying to control how often I saw my children and
But
whatnot.
that wasn't a recent thing. That probably had been going on for
This
a while.
has been, yes.
Was it going on before April of 2001?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
So what'd you take this very expensive gift for?
Because it was a gift for me.
So why did you accept a very expensive gift if things weren't going well?
They weren't going too well, but I mean, these things were tolerable, and it was getting progressively worse. When she lost her job, things just kept going downhill from there. And, I got to a point where I was just fed up and I was done.
Now, one of the defenses that you have to this action, other than the fact that it was a gift, is that you say that jointly you purchased furniture for this apartment that you moved in together. And the only thing that you left with was the motorcycle.
It wasn't, I wanted to leave clean. I didn't want to have it drag out or anything, and we had discussed, she said I could take, I told her three things that I wanted. I'm going to take, I said I'd like to take a computer desk, the DVD player, and our big screen TV. And that's it, and you can have the rest, and I'm leaving. And I didn't include the motorcycle because that was a gift and that was mine. So I didn't ask her, is it okay if I take my motorcycle? I had a police civil standby because her son got out of control that night and brought two friends over. And
did you in fact take this TV?
No, I did not. She wouldn't allow me to take the TV because
So did you take anything from the apartment?
No. Only, excuse me, I took my clothes, my belongings, and
the motorcycle.
And the motorcycle. And the police wanted me to get my stuff and get out. They were there on a civil standby, and I was standing right next to an officer when I rode off with the motorcycle.
Now, who paid for all the furniture in the apartment?
She paid partially, and we had a joint account and whatnot, so I don't know exactly how much of what we paid for.
How much money did you put into the joint account each week?
Actually, I have it right here. I have statements right here.
I have a statement also, Your Honor.
How much money did he put into the joint account?
$1,263 every 2 weeks.
Okay. What was the rent on the apartment?
$1,800.
$1,850, Your Honor.
Excuse me. This motorcycle was not an issue, if I may. This motorcycle was not an issue until after I'd left and she saw Miss Curley riding on the back of my motorcycle. We left the place, and then Miss Rungstad told me that she said, now, because of this stunt, you're going to lose the motorcycle. And that's when it became the issue.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Rongstad is suing her ex-boyfriend, Eric Nelson, for the cost of a motorcycle. Eric says Lori is jealous of his new fiancée.
Is it accurate that he put in about it would come out to about $2,700 a month?
He put it in, but he also had bills that used up all of that money.
I want to know who paid for furnishing the apartment.
I did. I sold over $80,000 worth of stock options. I bought all of the bedroom furniture prior to us ever moving in and charged it on an American Express card.
Are you telling me that he did not contribute to purchasing anything for the apartment?
No, ma'am, he didn't, because I had the cash. I had over $30,000 when we moved in. The only things that we needed to buy once we moved in were we bought a big screen TV, a DVD player, and a couple of VCRs.
Where did you pay for that from?
At that time, we did not have a joint account.
Where did the money come from?
From myself, from my stock option sales.
Your Honor, I also had stock that I had sold as well, and plus I also put extra money in that we bought stock together, and she put it in her son's name, and then sold the stock, and we used that money as well, so it's not going to look like it came from me at all, but that's what happened.
There's never been any stock in my son's name ever, and that can be proved through IRS records if needed.
I'd like to pull
Now,
those.
I have one other question. The car that you had, the truck that you had, was that sold?
No, ma'am.
Did you continue to use it for the months of May and June?
Yes, I did at times, yes.
So you kept that. Do you drive?
I do drive, but I have my own vehicle.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
At the time, I had a Chrysler Concorde. However, it was tampered with, and the engine no longer works, so I had to turn that in and buy a new car.
But
Your
when
Honor,
this motorcycle was purchased, you did not sell the other car that he had.
No.
That car was retained.
That's correct.
Now, do you have both vehicles now, sir? The motorcycle and that other car?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You have both?
Yes.
Okay, and you had both in the month of May?
Yes, I did.
And you had both in the month of June?
Yes.
It was a gift. It was a gift, Miss Rostat. Now, it may have been a gift that you decided should not be a gift because the romance didn't last more than a couple of months after you gave it to him, but that's really not dispositive.
No, Your
I
Honor.
would accept what you said to me about saving all the money because of saving all the gas money, et cetera, if the agreement was that he was going to sell the car that he had or the truck that he had so that there would be no additional expense, but there is certainly no saving by having two vehicles, two insurance, two repairs, two everything else. I mean, I think that, yes, oh yes.
May I say
think that it
something?
is, no. I think that it's probably not the moral thing to do to accept this very pricey gift, sir, from somebody where the relationship wasn't going right. You know, guys like big toys, so you're going to take it anyway because where else were you going to get a $9,000 present? But I certainly think it was not the moral thing to do. Do we understand each other?
Yes, I do. I left that house, Your Honor, without taking anything, so I
Well, my
understand
sense is, from what the plaintiff tells me, that she had far more financial resources to spend to furnish that house than you did. I was a little sympathetic when I first read your answer, and you said, I walked out of this relationship with nothing. We had furnished a house for $25,000, and I just left with this gift and my clothes, until I ascertained, sir, that you have children for whom I'm sure you pay child support, that you did put in certain joint monies into a joint account, but that went to pay off some bills. You had a car, you had insurance, you had gas. That eats up what you put in to the joint account. So I don't see that you had a lot left over to buy furniture, whether it was a big screen TV, because that would have been a single guy's paradise to leave a relationship with a big screen TV and a motorcycle. So I'm sorry I can't help you, madam.
May I please say a couple other items that I was not able to say?
Sure.
Anything that was a gift, I gave him. I bought him Yardrow Eagles. I bought him a number of very expensive items. I gave those to him. Those were pure gifts. I was down to all of the last money I had in my life, my 401k. I would not have used half of that to buy him a gift. Also,
yes, you did.
No, he also did not.
Yes, you did.
Ma'am, he also did not use.
You shouldn't have used. If it wasn't a gift, you should not have used half the money that you have in your whole life to buy him a motorcycle.
Your Honor.
That's not smart.
I know.
And don't give me all the baloney about he was going to save money on gas. Common sense suggests to me that if you were going to buy somebody a car to save money.
Why did I put it in my name?
No. Listen to me carefully. You would buy him a car for $8,000.
It doesn't get across the bridge fast.
Hey! Did I look at you and ask you a question? A motorcycle is not something that one buys to save money.
It is.
No.
I
a
also grew up with
four-cylinder
them.
little car just to get you to and from work can save money.
Yes.
Right? A motorcycle is a boy toy.
I like motorcycles, and I've always had them.
Good. Buy yourself another one. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's obviously filled the judge's head with lies. I mean, they won when they're purely evil people.
We were next door neighbors, and Lori, Lori won't take any responsibility for their breakup.
I have 20 police reports of all the harassment.
A woman scorned.
After I left her, I got involved with Jamie Curley, and she's off at that.
Yes, case number 364 on the calendar in the matter of Bruce versus West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
All right, the facts in this case are relatively simple. What is your first name?
My name is Kira Bruce.
Kira, you are 17 years old.
Yes.
Decided you wanted a tattoo.
Correct.
You went to the defendant's tattoo parlor.
Sure. That's acceptable.
And presented him with a fake ID and got your tattoo.
Yes.
Then you came home and your mother had a Shrek. You know what a Shrek is? She had a fit.
Good. I thought that was a movie.
Well, somebody took the word and made a movie out of it. But she had a fit. And you and your mother are suing the defendant because your mother believes that he should pay for at least half of the cost of removing the tattoo. Is that what this case is about?
That's exactly what it's about.
Easy. I have a few questions. When did you get the tattoo, Kira?
The beginning of October.
Had you ever had a tattoo before?
I had started one a few days before I got the one at Body Bazaar, yes.
You mean you started one but didn't finish it?
Correct.
At a different tattoo parlor?
Correct.
Why didn't you finish it?
I was nervous and I just kind of got up and paid him and left.
Okay. So the beginning of October you got this tattoo. What does it say? What is it?
It's my last name. It's
Bruce?
Yes. And then
You don't have a boyfriend named Bruce?
No.
Yeah, she told us.
We don't shout out in court. Now, when you went in, did you go in alone? Were you with someone else?
I was alone.
And you saw the defendant?
Oh, I never met Dave West until it all came back with my parents.
Okay. You saw somebody else who worked in the shop?
Yes.
Is that person in court today?
Yes.
Which one? Raise your hand.
Both of them?
You. Were you the one who did the work?
Yep, did the verse tattoo on her, yes.
Okay, could you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Kevin Augustine. How you doing?
Don't ask me questions.
Kevin
I ask questions.
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Augustine, when Kira came into the shop, did you ask her for identification?
Yeah, that's normal procedure.
What did you say to her?
They give us California driver's license and they fill out a consent form.
Do you have her form?
Yeah, we do.
May I have it, please?
There's two separate ones for the two different dates that she came in.
She came in on 2 dates.
2 different occasions.
So you didn't finish on the first date and she came back?
No, she started the tattoo at a tattoo studio a few doors down. Then she came to us and got the tattoo she had started at the other studio. She
Finished.
got colored in. Then about a
came
month,
back for
maybe
the
about a
second
month
one.
later, she came back in, brought the same ID, presented her ID, and got a whole nother separate tattoo.
Okay. Do you have the driver's license that you presented to the defendants when you...
It was not a driver's license, it was a California ID.
California ID.
Yes, we do have that, and if you'll note, the the person going in actually fills out the information. On the first copy of October 1st, her date of birth is listed as 8/19/01. On the consent form dated October 3rd, it's 9/18/83.
Oh, okay.
So,
not very hard. Now, she came home to see you, and she showed you the tattoo?
No, she didn't actually. I had been in Southern California for 9 weeks caring for my father, who just recently passed away.
Who was staying with her?
Her father and her brother. But when I returned home, my house was a shambles, teenagers and a dad that eats pizza. So I happened to stroll through her room, and I looked down on the floor, and I saw a letter. It was folded, and I picked it up, and it said, "I love my tattoo," a little heart. So I thought I'd better read the rest of this letter. And I said, "Dear James, sorry. I hope you're not mad at me for getting another tattoo." And then I ricocheted off of the walls. And so when I picked her up from dance that evening, I confronted her about it, and she showed me these tattoos. Then after that, we went to visit the tattoo parlors.
Miss Bruce, I'm going to stop you there. When are you going to be 18, Kara?
September 3rd.
Not so far away. Do you still like your tattoos?
Yes, I do.
Now, your mother wants you to have them removed. Is that a painful procedure?
Yes.
Look, she got these false IDs. I'm not going to even ask her where she got these IDs from. She presented them. She doesn't look as if she's 12 years old. She certainly looks as if she could be over the age of 18. And as long as she acknowledges, and I have certainly here in writing, she signed, giving her consent, indicating, swearing to the fact that she was over the age of 18. Sometimes people, when they write their date of birth, transpose the current year, 01, for their actual date of birth. The answer is yes. So they did what they were supposed to do. The only one who didn't do what they were supposed to do was your daughter.
Okay.
Your daughter. And your daughter is 17. In less than a year, she's going to be 18. She's going to be of the age of majority. Why wouldn't you, instead of bringing this lawsuit against the defendants, say to your daughter, you have to accept responsibility for what you did. You either got or passed off a fake ID. You knew that you weren't supposed to do this. This is something that in our house, in any event, we would oppose, and you did it anyway. And you did it in a sneaky fashion. Now you've got these tattoos. If you want to have them removed, get a job, pay for them to have them removed when you're 18. We're not talking about a 6-year-old child. We're talking about someone who is 7 or 8 months away from being a legal adult. Why do you think that these people are responsible?
It was my understanding that she did not show an ID to Kevin, that the only person who saw her ID at any time in this tattoo parlor was an apprentice by the name of Andrew or Dave.
Doesn't make any difference, Mrs. Bruce. Someone at the tattoo parlor said to her, "Can I see your ID?" She said, "Yes, here's my ID." Then they had her fill out a form. Now, the person who actually did the tattoo didn't have to recheck, just as if you go into a hospital and you're having surgery, you go into an admitting office. In the admitting office, you fill out all kinds of forms, including consent forms. When you're laying on the operating table, the surgeon doesn't say to you, by the way, I'd like to see your identification and fill out some forms again. They're done before, so that when you go in for the procedure, it's all finished. All that paperwork is all finished. Your daughter did the wrong thing. Do I look like I need help from you?
No.
Then why are you raising your hand?
I just wanted to add something to it. I tattooed on her also. If you look at the...
Just a minute.
Okay.
I didn't say yes.
Okay. I apologize.
Do you understand?
payment isn't right. मैं आपको बताता हूँ अभी ये थोड़ा सा इशू, ये थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ जाए तो फिर मैं आप लोगों को बताता हूँ कि ये क्यों नहीं होता, ठीक है। यहाँ पे जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, ये यहाँ पे वैलिडिटी सेशन हो रहा है, इसके बाद यहाँ पे थोड़ी सी मेन पेज ये देखिए, लोगन यहाँ पे ऑथेंटिकेशन जो है फेल हो चुकी है। ये अच्छा जी, अब यहाँ पे देखो मैंने बताया था कि आपको ये मेन पेज पे वापस आ जाएगा। मेन पेज पे इसलिए आगे क्योंकि सिद्रा काल से लेकर अभी तक स्टिल मेंटेनेंस पे है और इसकी कोई बड़ी अपडेट आ रही है। इसकी कोई बहुत बड़ी अपडेट आ रही है, जिसकी वजह से ये अभी तक ओपन नहीं हो रही और ये हो जाएगी। आप लोगों ने बस अपने अकाउंट को लॉगिन बार-बार नहीं करना, नहीं तो आपका आईपी जो है वो इशू करेगा। इस वजह से आपका जो है ये ऐप आपने लॉगिन नहीं करनी जब तक ये इशू रिजॉल्व नहीं होता। अपडेट जो है क्लियर नहीं होती, तब तक ये जो है ऐसे ही रहेगा, बल्कि आपने अपने अकाउंट जो है वो बार-बार लॉगिन नहीं करने और इस अपडेट इसके बाद बहुत सारे अकाउंट्स की जो KYC है वो रिजॉल्व हो जाएंगे और KYC पेंडिंग पड़ी है वो भी इंशाल्लाह से जो है वो स्टार्ट हो जाएगी अप्रूव होना। तो मज़ीद अपडेट्स के लिए चैनल को कर दें सब्सक्राइब। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।